All right, everybody. Doing a little video here to get you guys going on where we stand with this election. Um, for those of you who are following everything, most of you never ran an election like this, or probably held some simple, smaller offices throughout the council. But running for general election in the UBC for the New York City District Council Corporators has a lot of hurdles along the way. And every time there's a new election, we used to have a federal monitor, and now we have Glenn McGordy represents us as an election monitor. He's just involved in the elections, and they put out a set of rules. It's approved by the judge, and there's certain categories and certain thresholds that you have to meet to come up to pick members, whether you're running as a slate or an independent. I believe this past election it was 200 for an individual and 500 for a slate. Now, according to those election rules, there's a lot of stipulations in there, like if people have access to job sites and certain criteria, like council employees, they're supposed to take time off from work and not do it on their time. Them handing off paperwork to shop stewards and using inside council resources is supposed to be illegal. We all know they do that anyway. They use their council IDs and access to get on job sites, which is impossible for the average member. As a lot of you know, we deal with a lot of security and a lot of jobs now. Ever since 9/11, things have changed in New York City. Back when I was a kid, you could access any job pretty much by just going through a loading dock. But nowadays, you got to be vetted by a contractor to get in there. So there's a lot of changes. So gathering our emails, getting our signatures on our behalf is a little tougher, a lot tougher, because you're usually catching people coming in and off job sites. They're running in, people running late, some bigger jobs like, say, 270 Park Avenue. We all know work in the industry, by the time you get in the building, you probably sometimes take you 20, 30 minutes to get to a floor, right? So, and we all know in today's day and age, the last thing you want to do is be late for work. Sorry, guys, I moved a little bit because the sun's moving around. I want you to be able to see me. With that being said, we submitted, I think, almost 780 signatures. They denied 310 of them. We had to go through the process of, sometimes it was because of the pen used with the ink. You couldn't read the UBC number. Some people left their addresses out. Like I said, sometimes you're grabbing these people very short periods of time, either going to work or coming home from work. So, you're dealing with those challenges, right? Some people don't have the UBC cards on them. Some people write the UBCs to the best of their knowledge. And some people don't write the full address down. Some people leave their address out. But these are the difficulties. But to me, the intent is there, right? The members want democracy. They want an opportunity to support another candidate. Of course, my opponents, they don't believe in that. They believe anything they can do to shut us down and get us out of the way, they're going to use everything in their means. Dirty politics is what it is, and that's what you do when you don't have proper leadership or proper focus on what's being done as far as going after the work and protecting workers' rights and going after the market share and improving our organization. You resort to those type of tactics, and that's what they do. Most of these, they understand it, they see what they've been doing, and that's their angle. So one of the candidates running with me is Pete Corrigan. I know Pete for many, many years. My grandparents, my grandfather, my dad both knew his grandfather. They worked in the industry together. Rittner, Ratner, Langenbacker, some of the big companies when I first started in the industry. Back when I was a kid, I knew Pete when he was a young kid, just coming to help out. His father did a lot of every aspect of everything done in 608 back in the day, from fundraisers to helping out the membership. I don't remember not seeing one fundraiser where John wasn't involved himself. But with all that being said, there was controversy when Pete was holding office as he was put into the 212 local. They actually, McCarran started that local. He started it to go get new market share in the high-rise cement league, right? I actually sat in on those meetings with them. I wasn't eligible to run as a business agent in that local because I didn't have enough high-rise concrete within the last 10 years. Most of the concrete work I did was heavy towards the end. My early part of the career, I did high-rise. I worked with XO Concrete as an apprentice. Like I said, during the time when you work in this industry, sometimes you go where the economy puts you, right? When your times are slow like now, concrete is where it is, infrastructure. That's why I always tell people, broaden your horizon, learn your trade, and when you get the opportunity and things are busy, don't just stick to one thing. Being a furniture guy, being a ceiling guy might work for some people, but the more you know, the more employable you are. With that being said, they removed Pete from office. They claimed he was helping an apprentice shape a job. The rumor has it he told the kids where the job was, and they used that as a technical way to get him out of the way because they see Pete as a threat. For those of you who know Pete or have been around with Pete, or ever had the opportunity to talk to him. And I'm going to set up a Zoom meeting or an open mic night someplace, and I want you guys to come and meet Pete and debate him. I recommend anybody to come down and debate him. His vision, his knowledge on the construction trade in New York City is unmatched by anyone I've ever met, including myself. I'm 36-year member, third generation. I can't tell you moments where I sit next to Pete, he's talking, and I'm just blown away, like blown away, the way he carries himself and conducts himself and understands what needs to be done, how to broaden the opportunity. He gives me great inspiration myself, and you know, one of the reasons I decided to run in this election is because I know we need people like this ahead of us to help bring this organization through, and I know we need to pinpoint the certain places where we're failing and make improvements to those, right? We can't keep doing the same thing over. The redundancy that we do and keep failing at them doesn't make any sense. I just watched a great video. It was on, I think, LinkedIn. It was Dennis Ibrick, right? I think it's Rainbow's son. I think he did it phenomenal. Kid was very well spoken. Talked about a project development in Queens. He talked about how he grew up in the Queens community. I myself grew up in Queens myself. I lived there most of my life, and then I moved out to the island when I got older in life. But very well said. You see leadership like that, young guys in our industry. That's our future, guys. We got to get people out there that see it for what it is, and get out there that are well spoken, that want to, you know, go through the hurdles it's going to take to get us back on track, right? You know, I spoke to a young man the other day. I can't remember his name. And I'm in a conversation about, you know, my thing about illegals in this country, and I made a comment about MS-13. Listen, I'm not trying to target any individual of anybody, but you know, I've seen a lot of companies, a lot of manufacturing companies, contracting companies, and they use illegal workers, right? And they exploit these workers, right? Now, this is nothing new, guys. This has been going on for beginning of time, right? They exploited the Irish, the Chinese, the blacks, anything you can think of, they exploited, right? It's corporate greed. We've been up from day one. That's why unions are formed, right? To fight that corporate greed. Well, we have laws now to protect workers, right? So, you know, whether that person's a union worker, non-union worker, a lot of people who know me for who I am, I've always protected the working guy. I never attack anybody. I don't like the word scab. Just never liked it. Someone referred to them one time as uninformed workers, and I've always adopted that logic, right? Ideology, logic to talk to people, because you know, that worker came here, and the way I look at it was workers before me that came here, right? And you know, we want to band together. We want to protect everybody's rights. We want everyone to have a piece of the pie, to say, right? We sit in a generation now where there's more millionaires and now trillionaires than ever before in our world, right? They talk about the billionaires, the trillionaires in the Middle East. You know, we just want a piece of that pie, right? They got more wealth out there, surpassing the Industrial Revolution, right? Meeting a millionaire nowadays is as rare as it was, right? So a lot of these corporate companies, a lot of my people, friends of mine that own small businesses, they're all multimillionaires now. They've all made very good money. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of them have done it by exploiting workers. That's how they've made their money, right? They operate on the fact that they get cheap labor, and they market the cheap labor, and these people suffer at their benefit. That's why they can afford $2, $3, $4 million houses, that backyard. And it's always been a difference between me and them. Like, I just never believed in it. I've always, even when it comes to, you know, I don't go with the lowest bidder when I do work in my house. I've always had 90% of the work in the house I do myself. My fiance will complain about it because she says it takes forever, because I refuse to hire people because I know I'm going to do the right job. But when I do hire people, like my gardener, I've always hired the right people, paid the good money. So I just believe quality work comes at a quality price, and it just is what it is, right? It's just, you know, you can nitpick and hold people accountable when you're paying them good salaries, and that's what I feel with the Carpenters Union. I believe we have some of the best tradesmen and tradeswomen in the industry, surpassed by none, in my opinion, as far as safety and everything else. And we're only getting better as time goes on, right? So moving forward, this is just another tool that we put in our toolbox, right? Everything to me in life is putting a tool in our toolbox. That's why I emphasize to all you people that opportunity still rises in this industry, as far as becoming site safety managers, becoming safety instructor courses. I've emphasized this to a lot of you guys who take it on my information. A lot of you, one woman, she took classes, she got everything. Now she's a carpenter instructor, believe it or not, in I believe New York State Prison. authority. I don't know which one it is, but don't hold me to it because I don't remember. The conversation was a couple of years ago. I was very proud of her. She did it. She went to the 500 OSHA courses and several other courses she had to get that certification. And she kept the union card, from what I understand. And now she's working for the New York prison systems. I think it's a great idea, right? Just as another person who took the industry, got what they needed out of it, got opportunity, and they moved on with their life. Not always bad, like sometimes we need. Sorry guys, the sun is moving again. I don't know if I can move this behind me without blinding you. Here, we can put this over here. That works a little bit better for you, so you can see me. It was an opportunity at that. See, this is another thing too we need to do. We need to break down these walls. There's too much self-serving people on the ninth floor of this council and this organization, where only a small group of people are given information on how to succeed. When I'm elected as your EST, I'm going to put a stop to that. All right. We're going to open up new ideas. This is going to keep continuing. We're going to have updated videos. We're going to speak to you guys. We're going to have more dialogue between you. I want to know what's going on in the field with our members. I want to know what needs to be changed. If there's a problem out there, and one of my reps or organizers aren't doing the job, let's get an answer to what it is. Maybe one of my reps or organizers are busy. Maybe there's a problem there. I don't want to blame somebody without knowing the facts, right? We want to make sure we have the right people out there representing you. So if there is an issue, we can fix it. We have apprentices coming into the industry. We have apprentices dropping out of the industry. Under my watch, when that happens, I will reach out to these apprentices, the ones that choose to leave the industry, and I want to get a reason why they're leaving. All right, and the reason is because only to improve our situation, we got to know where we failed, right? If someone left, maybe it's that person. Maybe the industry wasn't for them, right? Maybe the work was too much, or working in the environment, the cold, the heat wasn't for them, right? But if there was something else, if there was a problem on the job, or they feel like they weren't being representative, or we were failing in one way or another, I want to document that to see where we can make improvements. And the only way we're going to do that, guys, in life is we got to suck up. I'm not perfect either, guys. I get criticized on certain things. Some people say I'm loud. Some people say this. Some people say wear a shirt and tie when I talk to you. But I just believe, come at you who I am, and let the chips fall where they may. Some people are going to like me. Some people are going to disagree with me. But that's life. I don't believe in being a fake politician. I've gotten this far in life by being who I am. I'm the first person to help anybody out. Agree to disagree with you on any situation it is, but I never hold that against you. I'll never stop you from feeding your family and putting food on your table. I live by that motto from my dad, and I'll always live with it. All right. So always remember, guys, even the people out there know that I've had a problem with in life. Whenever there was a fundraiser or their family needed help, I was the first one to jump in to help, right? Because that's what's important. So anyway, building off that, to get our information from these apprentices that lead the industry, to me, I think will help our apprentices that are here. Also, maybe speaking to that apprentice, maybe we could work out the situation where there was and maybe keep them here. We spend a lot of money training these apprentices coming into the industry, and losing them comes at a cost. And we don't want that, right? We want to bring people in and give them the same opportunities that I was given in this industry to move forward, And as far as maybe sitting down with the DOB, I got a lot of ideas that will work out. I'm not going to get the strict details of this, like I said, but I got some great ideas to move forward to get certain licenses and try to help our members see a career after the 55 and out retirement, because I think that's important, And I also want to do something else, is what I talked about the other day, and that's what a lot of people like. Like I said, growing up as a kid, my father went to work every day. My dad had 5 kids. My dad constantly worked. One time someone asked me what was my dad's hobbies. He goes, I said side work. That's what my dad did. Like me, my dad's not a big sports fan. Never really big into football, basketball. I watched some UFC because I was into UFC fighting when I was a kid, younger. But at the rest of it, I pretty much concentrated on just doing side jobs with my father, and that's, back when I was a kid, I guess I learned a lot more than the average person. I know plumbing, electrical, mechanics, at the time when I was doing that stuff with my dad, I just wanted to be with him. I never realized growing up that I just thought everybody knew the stuff I knew, and a lot of my friends were always baffled, like, how do you know how to do that? How do you know how to do that? My fiance used to say it to me all the time when we first started dating. Now she says, well, why don't you just get that done? I know you know what you're doing. So, we gotta, we have to find ways to bring everybody in and give everyone the opportunity to learn their trade, right? So, I think there needs to be changes for the apprentices and try to get people, let them find their niche, And to do that, we might have to change a little way of how we move people around with companies, but we'll find a way. I'm a big believer in that. So, anyway, with that being said, on what my thoughts were on that, and some ideas that were propped up to me, the real estate board for New York City, right? We drew a lot of controversy with them over the last couple of years. I think they won't sit down and deal with us. I think they have a hard on for our leadership that's in there, and I think we need to sit down there and try to figure out a way to mend fences there and look towards the future. If we don't, we're just going to keep going backwards, and we're going to fight an inevitable battle. As we start tightening up everything, I think, and with the cheap labor crisis that we're dealing with out there, and as that stuff's getting cleaned up, and I think these contractors start being held responsible to the ordinance of the law, where developers and workers are exploiting people. As that starts to shrink, I think union labor will start to rebound, right? Because the cheap labor will be gone that's out there. That'll help put us in the right direction, I think. Help us build us back to where we get our work. I mean, these people are making. I talked to several contractors, and after the B rate came in, they told me that their profit ratio, where they used to run 20 or 30 jobs a year, right? They were making 30%, 40% more running 12 to 15 jobs. So they cut their workload in half, right? And then with half the amount of jobs, increased their profit shares by 40%. I was like, that's got to be impossible to believe. But I guess with these B-rate things, think about it. You're getting a 2-for-1, right? You're bringing these B-rates in, you're underbidding the thing. With those cost factors passed on to the developers, probably not, right? So the developers didn't get the cost savings. I went into a lot of these contractors' pockets and maybe some of the GC pockets, but I would say, for the most part, the developers never saw any of that, right? Now on the contractors, the developers, they take the risk, they put the money out there, insurance liabilities and requirements in New York City. These are all situations that burden our contractors, right? Like getting paid and everything like that. There's a lot of laws that were put in place, and once again, we're dealing with these laws that aren't being enforced, right? That's another thing we can sit down with our governors and stuff like that, and congressmen, make sure that this doesn't continue, right? If a contract is doing work, if you're a contractor and you're waiting on a final payment of a bill on a contract, and now you have to go out and borrow the money to pay your vendors, you're borrowing this money at premium prices, right? You're tapping into your resources, so every job you go on, that's what kills you, right? The other thing that's killing our contractors, is workers' comp claims, right? Especially when you're bidding a lot of state, federal work, there's a rating number for contractors for job injuries, right? I think we should, I know a lot of these safety companies offer a safety protocol package where they give a safety manager, and they put like a nurse's, like a safety aide on the job site to handle with the minor injuries on job sites. I'd like to put together as a union, maybe put that together too, put together a package deal where we got one of our retirees who has a site safety manager company for these bigger companies, right? Maybe work out a deal where we supply the first aid safety manager on the job, and have our workers in there and help try to lower that cost for our contractors and our GCs. We got to find a way, guys, to get back to the table and talk to these GCs. Anything we could do to reduce costs for them and help them out on safety practices, I think helps them and benefits them, and that lowers that cost and that gap, that 30% gap between union and non-union. We're trying to lean it towards our direction, so we have to think outside the box. And anybody out there who has any recommendations or think that I have some ideas that I'm missing here, please, by all means, send it to me in a text message or email. I'd love to hear from them. Like I said, sometimes, listen, every day we learn something new, right? You'd be an idiot if you didn't, right? You got to keep an open mind to everything. So that's my idea on the stuff like that. I wrote down a couple of notes of some issues that people were throwing at me over the week. Guys put up a stuff. All right, listen, this is something I want to tell you guys. You guys have to block out a lot of the noise we're dealing with out there, right? With the noise, they throw a lot of this stuff out there with this organization, right? They use a lot of word salad. First they told us there was no merger last year, right? Then they come out, and right after the election, they call it a consolidation, right? The consolidation involves consolidating the pension funds, the money, and moving into a 15-state council, which to me would be a disaster. We lose a lot of power and control over that money. There'd be trustees voting and making decisions on our future decisions. Anything can happen, right? I can't say for sure what's going to happen. Paul can't make any future decisions on what's not going to happen. That's the problem here, right? The only way Paul can make a guaranteed commitment to you guys is to stand up and say no merger and put it in writing and tell the International, no, we've been involved, we've been here 125 years, We're self-sufficient. We went from 98 to 94% investment now, but we can improve on that ourselves, make our own decisions moving forward, and that's it. The way I look at it, guys, is I want to help everyone out. I'm an advocate about that, but I don't think that we should sacrifice what we've had today to make up for other people's misfortunes and bad investments throughout the country, right? The other things you guys want to look at too, they talk about these ERISA laws that protect those. Guys, remember, we wouldn't be dealing with today if these facts hadn't taken place. We had what was called a consent decree, right, which a lot of people might know as a stipulation in order. We were under a federal monitorship, basing back about 30 years ago. Racketeering charges, organized crime. A lot of people like, Paul's uncle, I think, was indicted. Mike Picarola's uncle was indicted for pension funds, stuff like that, from what I understand. And there was other things done from like the heads of the unions, from Pastor McGinnis. All these people had indictments, and with all that being done, just like with the Teamsters, they had to sign what was called a consent decree, which gave the government the right to oversee everything, to weed out organized crime, and to put everyone back on track, to make sure that there was oversight, to make sure everything was right? With that being said, they after the last monitorship, Frank Spencer, he brought in Matt Walker. Matt Walker was a state trooper, head of the state troopers over in New Jersey. He helped get rid of the consent decree for the New York State Troopers back when they had problems with racial profiling and stuff like that. Matt Walker was hired there to help put things in motion to help get rid of the stipulation order and consent decree. Now, in that process, that's what they had them for. A lot of things were swept under the rug, right? That's why you saw a lot of things happen behind the scenes. You guys didn't get any notice about it. Then you heard this guy got let go, this guy got let go, and a lot of non-disclosures were signed. The reason they did with these non-disclosures and signed them was to keep everything buried, so that when they hired Barbara Jones, who was a former prosecutor that worked for the Southern District, who's actually every one of these prosecutors that work against us, they all get hired by the council afterwards. So she was there, and what they did was they removed the stipulation or the consent decree that governed our pension funds and our medical funds, and they took that away from it, right? Up until a couple of years ago, this wouldn't have been an issue. None of this merger would be possible. Back when Mike Biela sat in office, it was all governed under it. If they tried to pull the money out, the consent decree would go follow them, and they would be held to that standard. So if you pulled the Dr. Lou Timmermans out of here, they went there, the federal monitor would have to monitor it, right? So now under this rule, they just did it where they're just going to move the monies, right? So basically, at the end of the day, they kind of got me, right? It's like me walking up to you, taking your wallet out, taking your money in your credit card, and I'm going to hand you back your empty wallet. That's basically it. So now you have an empty wallet. Good luck trying to get home. Good luck trying to buy yourself some dinner. You got no money on you, right? So that's the problem with this guy. So they're going to try to sell it to you in a lot of different ways, but that's the fact, right? They're taking the money from us, right? Now, what happens with that money? God knows, right? There's some of these funds, they're saying that they're a little shady. Some were backed up by the American Care Act and the Biden. There was money put into these funds. I know we were supposed to get money into our Parliamental and storefront funds, but we never got it. I think we're $100 million short on that. They want to merge our funds together as well. For those who don't realize it, there used to be an officer's pension for the council. There were some people in the benefit funds on it. A lot of our district council officers had it. They will start collecting that pension at 50. So you guys don't realize it. A lot of these guys are collecting their on-the-tool pension, right? So very substantial money. A lot of these guys collected over $100,000 a year while they're working as business agents, so representing you. They set themselves up to set their families up and did very well with that. But now the problem is there's nothing paying into that fund. So in this merger, they'll merge that fund together, making that pension fund whole. Who's going to pick up the weight on that? We will, as the members. We're going to end up paying for their third pension. That's just the way it is, guys. They make the calls, they got the vote in the room, and that's the way it works. No reduction to the salaries, they'll increase themselves, and so be it, right? Like one member said to me, a lot of this stuff creates a lot of anxiety, and I get that, guys. And then, we're not here, this is election time, and when you hear a lot of this stuff and you're already got anxiety and you're in and out of work, I get it. I wish there was a way to express myself and you guys wouldn't get stressed out over it, and I don't want that for you, but I want you to all keep in mind that, listen, life always prevails. We always find a way, right? If everything doesn't go the way we want, we always find a way out. So don't lose sleep over this, guys, and we'll just navigate the best we can through it. My best attitude is the more you're informed, the better you can make the best decision for yourself. That's the way I look at it, right? So if you guys look at the stuff they're doing with the medical, right? You have a Blue Cross Blue Shield Independent, right? That was put in place through the international, also back through Frank Spencer, right? Now he has Level Care Pharmacy, I think it's called. You guys can look at yourself. He's the CEO. They actually have the base number out of what you call Vegas. Actually, I think it's like 212 Carpenter's Way. It's actually literally at the training center is where he has it. If you guys look at these pharmacy management firms, they're called. I forgot the initials for them. They're very corrupt guys. A lot of shady practice in them. You guys can Google them yourself. I find it weird that Frank Spencer, who's the second general vice president, I don't think this guy was ever a carpenter. He was on the board in the Port Authority, then he ended up there. I've asked a lot of people. No one ever knew him swinging a hammer, so the guy was ever a carpenter. He gets put in these places. I think he's barking to a different order, a different group of people, but to me, it sounds very shady. There's been a lot of lawsuits, and my guess is that, from what I understand from paperwork and subpoenas were filed and a grand jury was put together back in 2019 about this, that eventually you'll see indictments come out of these things, these pharmaceutical companies. I've always been an attitude that if it smells weird or something's wrong with it, I think you're drinking a drink from, I think Bill Cosby's making you a cocktail, if you guys know what I'm telling you. I don't believe people come at you with the right intention. I think they're looking to fill their own pockets and make money in it. And we need to discuss that. We need to put it out there. We need members to understand that the money being put into these funds should be put in, allocated to improving our workers' future and our retirement future. It's why we joined the union. It's why we're here. We joined the union for the main factors, guys. You joined the union because you wanted a pension, you want a good annuity, and you want medical, and you want lifetime medical income, right? You want some type of security. Otherwise, there's no reason to be in a union, right? We'd frame houses off long hours, do something else. Guys, with this stuff they're trying to throw at you, right? They have advantages, right? They're going to put shoes on the ground. I go to job sites to visit. They follow behind this. Think of the resources they're using right now, guys. They're taking organizers in the field, right, that are organizers at their jobs, and they're sending them out to union jobs to talk to the members, right? And they go, these are some jobs you guys haven't seen a business agent or 2.5 years. Some guys have emailed me, sent me paperwork. I appreciate it. I appreciate the paperwork you filled out, and getting it notarized. Them coming on the job, and anything you guys can do as far as document it, videotaping, and I appreciate that as well, because the more the merrier. We need this information, so keep it coming in. But when they attack it, just call me a liar. To me, it's a cheap sellout. It's a cheap tactic, right? And they come in and it's just like, that's you're a liar, you're a liar, you're a liar. Let's just look at the facts, guys, right? Paul said no merger. Then he said it's a consolidation. Now he's saying we're looking into it. He's talking like a guy on a dating app talking to some new girl, right? Like, we're taking it day by day. We're just friends for now. Like, they're not being honest with you. And when someone's talking to you like that's a good con man material, right? Like, I want to debate Paul. I've asked him to debate me. Open mic debate, a regular debate. Me and him, nobody else. Me and him up on the floor. But again, let's do all three of us. Let's do it. You know what, Paul? I'll send you an email today. A real debate. Your team, Paul, Dave Cavallaro, Adam Hawkins, up on a stage with a mic in front of the members. I'll bring Pete Corrigan, and I'll bring Anthony. I'll bring Vincent in with me. And my mind's shut this morning. Anthony Vincent in with me, and we'll come up on the stage and we'll do a debate. Right? We'll just answer questions. What do we got to lose, guys? The members should know what's going on, right? We should know where we stand, and when you're playing with games like this, guys, and they're twisting around our facts, to me the consolidation's a joke. I don't get it. I don't get what we benefit from this. And most of the members you're trying to talk to, they'll hear you guys out, but in the back of their head they go, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. You're going to give power and authority to a group of people that don't sit in New York. I mean, to me that's a sign of disaster. We have more important things to be worrying about, guys, right now. We have stuff, you got non-union work going up in every single borough. You got 70-story buildings going up in every single borough. Like, and here we are. They're putting more time and energy into this than anything else I've ever seen. I mean, if they put this time and energy into going after the work, I wouldn't be running for office right now, right? Listen, guys, I put my time out in the field. I've done every aspect of business. I've done stuff, everything from woodworking to concrete to drywall framing. I still help a lot of people go to work. I do some freelance work on the side. I do some safety stuff to help our members out, getting safety classes. I do training and stuff like that. and I believe that's important, you know. So, guys, we really have to just cut through the bullshit and just see them for what it really is, you know. They're gonna. It is what it is, guys. It's about winning an election to them. It's not about protecting you guys. It's about getting to the finish line at all costs necessary, so they can hang out at golf courses and sit down and have their cocktail and drinks. Their resume is their resume. They tell you that, oh, I'm not qualified for doing the job, guys. I feel highly qualified to do it. I'm going to make sure I'm covered by the right people around me. I got a lot of legal experts who help me out that are dear friends of mine. I won't steer us wrong. I'll put us in the right direction. I have Pete Corrigan beside me, and I got to tell you guys, for those who don't know him, I can't wait for you to have conversations with him. You're going to be blown away at the knowledge that he has. And I think that's one of the reasons why the council got him out of that building, was they saw him as a person that knew how to talk to the developers, talk to the contractors, and talk to the workers as well. So when you get a well-rounded person like that, and he can handle himself in the future, that's going to make a difference. And I don't know if I mentioned it before in the beginning of my conversation, but one of the things I brought up was, you know, in this industry, like the women, I think I did bring it up, right? I want to start doing like an auxiliary club, maybe do like a luncheon, or pick a restaurant or some place we can rent out, and start picking each borough in the city, and invite our wives or fiancés or girlfriends in, the ones for the members, and bring them in, and have a sit down with them or their daughters or whoever's in the family, helping them with make the practical decisions, so they understand the benefit fund a little bit better and get a little idea of what's going on, so they understand what the business is really about. Listen, a lot of these people in this industry don't grasp all of it. They're not computer savvy, which is fine. Neither am I. I'm a self-learner myself. I'm making things happen as time goes on, right? Here it is. I got some freaking thing popped up on the screen, and I'm going to hopefully hit it without losing you guys. I think that's a great idea, right? So we bring these wives in, we give them ideas, and we see what they need. Just like as far as I said with our safety training at the school, I think we need to open that up for our kids as well and our wives. If we can teach people first aid safety training, and I think the state of New York, like I mentioned before in one of my other videos, I think February, March, they're going to start mandating certain training for people to be first aid trained to become babysitters. If you want to babysit in New York, you're going to get certified in that. And it would be my hope to offer that to any one of our family members free of charge. I think if something like that saves one life, to me, it'd be totally worth it. Other organization, I think we could reinvest in ourselves instead of handing out book bags and T-shirts on the corner. I think that's more important for our members. Like I said, I want to help everybody, but I want to start at home first, right? Like they say on an airplane, right? You put your oxygen mask on first, and then you help the people around you. That's number one protocol in any safety device. Make sure you're safe before you do anything, right? Awareness. You got to be aware of your situation. Make sure you're not walking into harm's way. You're not going to get electrocuted. Something's not going to happen to you, because you can't hurt anybody. You can't help anybody if you're going to hurt yourself in the process. Happens a lot of times in cave-ins and confined space areas. It's the first thing people do. They go into a hole, they got to help somebody, and they pass out from whatever toxins are down there. So anyway, with that being said, I just want to bother everyone Sunday. When you guys get this video, please, by all means, share it, as many people as you can. October 29th, the ballots go out in the mail. I believe November 21st is the count. So for those who get the ballot, please take a picture of it, send it to your members so everyone recognizes what it looks like in the mail. As soon as I get a copy of what it looks like, I'll be sending it out to you. For those members out there who have not received a ballot in the last two elections, right? I've spoken to a few of you on the job site. You have to contact your local. Make sure your information's up to date. You contact the benefit funds. And I will be posting on my site an address for the election monitor. I want you to contact that election monitor and email him and explain to him that you haven't received your ballot in the last two elections or whatever. This is important. Right? We want democracy. We want more members voting. We want members involved. This helps us both in this election and any other election. It shows politicians that we're deeply involved in decisions being made in our communities, New York City, New York State. And to do that, we need to show people involved. Right? This is your future, guys. This is probably one of the most important elections you're going to vote in your life. Right? This is going to make a difference. Like presidential elections, governor elections, congressmen, all this stuff. That serves a purpose in your life, but right now, this is your bread and butter. This is what puts food on your tables, puts that benefit card in your pocket, and seeks a future for you and your family into your retirement years, right? So who's elected in this next election, to me, will make a difference of where we're going to be, right? I think after this, they're going to pull the consent decree out from underneath this. They're going to market it to anything you want. When you open this to other boroughs, to other states, and when you open up the complete mergers, what they're looking for, you'll see major changes. You're going to see changes on who's going to be appointed shop steward on jobs, how they come in and market jobs. You're going to see territories change as far as hourly rates. It'll be hourly rates for certain type of work. It'll be like they'll probably just put a pin in a map with a circle and draw an area. And everything in that area will be a certain rate, and then that's the way they'll do it. Giving up what we have to do that, and giving up our being headshot callers in the room, would be a terrible idea. A lot of people in this organization and union are jealous of us. We still have one man, one vote. A lot of them don't have that anywhere else in the country. Your executive boards, we wouldn't be having this election right now. It would be appointed on the delegates to get voted in, right? And as you can see in the last election, a lot of them just put in by people. They have an in-house election. Most people are busy working, Queens, whatever. They do that one-time election in the local, and that's it. So they limit it to people who can make it to it's a one-time shot deal to come down and vote. Most people don't understand how important that is, and then those people go out to Vegas and vote in their EST treasurers or whatever they want. With that being said, when they do that, a lot of people don't realize, those people have a lot of say in what happens, right? Like right now, the trustees and the council have a lot of say in what's going to happen over the next, 6 to 12 months and the future of our organization and the EST. So, without putting the right person in nice full office, it's a jump ball, and I don't think I think it's going to be a fumble. I don't think I don't think it's going to work in the direction we want. I think Dave Cabaloso said the best that he has a 4-year plan, right? And his opponent Pete Corrigan has a 25-year plan. So if you guys are trying to figure out what you got to go with or which team to vote with, my gut tells me I'm going to vote for the guy who's got a 25-year plan, right? He's going to put time and energy into this industry. You're looking at me, guys. I'm going to do probably another 10 years at least, maybe even more. Still young, in good shape, take care of myself, even though I had an injury at work, but I'm still holding my own. My shoulder's a little screwed up, but I'll get over that. I always have, always will, right? I work my way through everything. So, guys, listen, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy this beautiful weather we have out there. For those of you who are big motorcycle riders, it's a great weather. Get out there, enjoy yourself, ride safe, right? And good luck with you, your families, and stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye.